Welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $5,000 Modern Open. I'm Tandy, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
And we got a nail biter for you. We're in round number 7 of Swiss, and these players, all in the feature match area, are vying for those top 8 slots. Ross, why don't you give us a rundown of the main feature match we'll be watching right now?
So we're going to be watching a win-in for the top 8 featuring Amin Abadi, who we saw last round. Unfortunately, his tiebreaker is not good enough to safely draw in, so he's playing out this last round. He, of course, is on Azorius Hammer. He is going to be playing against Josh Engel on 5-color creativity. Not a deck we have seen so far today, but a very common one in Modern.
Yep.
And a matchup that I have to assume Abadi likes. The creativity deck is a little bit slow out of the gates. It's got some good disruption, but it doesn't have the free disruption like Solitude because they can't play the creature.
Yep.
So that should help him out. And Amin playing the blue splash version of Hammer, so he gets some main deck spell pierces.
Yeah.
Excellent in the matchup.
Those spell piercers are pretty much a heater in this one. I'm voting for Amin. I think Amin's going to take this one down. I think the creativity decks lack the cheap interaction, like you said. They have a little bit, but I don't think it's enough. This deck is very used to fighting through a couple pieces of disruption.
Yeah, we'll see. Amin, we talked about it last round, lost round 1. That's part of the reason why his tiebreakers are too weak to draw. We'll see if he can complete the full 6-0 comeback and lock up yet another top 8 coming fresh off of his win last week at SCG Columbus.
All right, let's head on down to the feature match area where the players are ready to go. Amin Abadi on your left, playing that really powerful blue-white hammer deck that we've seen him play multiple times over the past few months. Him and his brother have each won the last 2 Saturday events that we had here at Apex Gaming. Both extremely proficient in Modern. Abadi only recently picking up Hammer, but after his win last week and now on the cusp of another top 8 here, let's see if he can find a way to take it down. Not sure who's on the play, but it looks like Engel with that 6 die on there. Looks like maybe a mulligan to 6. I see a Reprieve in hand for Engel. I really like that out of the creativity deck.
Yeah, I
if
got
I'm being
3
honest.
copies of Reprieve in the Disruption Suite, along with 2 Fire Ice, 4 Spell Pierce, 4 Lightning Bolt, and 4 Leyline Binding.
Yeah, but it looks like we're going to mulligan again. This is, I believe a mulligan to 5, but don't quote me on that. That dice might just be an errant dice from earlier. And the body's got to be doing a little bit of mental fist pumps, He's, he's mulligan to 2, so this must be mulligan to 6.
Just
Or both 5. I don't know.
both. This
I
is
don't know.
both to 5. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know why Engel mulligan the hand. I saw Lightning Bolt, I saw Reprieve, and some Lance. Lightning Bolt's pretty good in this matchup.
Must be aiming for something very specific. This is a matchup where you can't really waste any time. So even if you have a couple of removal spells, if you're not immediately following it up with a pretty powerful threat, I'm not sure how viable the hand is.
All right. Well, as they resolve their mulligans, just want to say shout out to Apex Gaming here in Caldwell, Ohio for putting on a wonderful event. These 5K Magic weekends that we've been having have been a lot of fun, not only to cast, but also to just hang out and watch and be around the community. And the community of players that all play here at Apex Gaming have been on tears recently in other circuits as well. Fresh off, I think 3 or 4 of them that are playing for top 8 this round were in Columbus last weekend at SCG Columbus and made it to the top 12 there, including Amin Abadi, who won.
Okay, so Josh Engel looks like keeping Spell Pierce, Renin 6, Lightning Bolt, and at least 1 land. I think that's a Blood Crypt and
Yeah.
a Fable, so needs to find a fetch land, get a green source, and start playing the Renin 6, and then his hand is very online, but without that fetch land, his hand is going to do virtually nothing outside of a Lightning Bolt.
All right, so Engel going to keep the 5. Abadi keeps 5 as well, and Engel going to be on the play. Needs a green source for that Renin 6, and a fetch land would be money. There it is, Wooded Fields off the top. Just in time, like it was always there. Here is a Lightning Bolt on that Giver of Runes. Just going to take it down and allow for a Renin 6 to come down next turn and get the land back and maybe hold up Spell Pierce. But hold up Spell Pierce this turn as well.
Yeah, that's a fine sequence. It'll be awkward if he has to Spell Pierce this turn, though, because you can't get an untapped blue source that also taps for green
Right.
for the Ren.
Okay, well, Abadi has a nice little sequence here. It goes Springleaf Drum, Giver of Runes into Esper Sentinel, and now we're going to go back Engel's way.
Now the Esper Sentinel is awkward here. We'll see if, I assume Engel's turn is going to start with the Ren and 6. Does he want to plus and be able to hold up Spell Pierce? Does he want to just minus, get his value, deal with the Esper Sentinel that way?
That's a good question. A body's going to probably get to draw a card here. Engel, if he draws a land, could go Ren and 6 plus pay the 1 for Esper Sentinel and then minus on the Esper Sentinel. Seems a bit better than like plussing and holding up Spell Pierce, for example.
Well, found a fetch land, so does have that line available to deny the card off the Esper Sentinel trigger. And with resources so light, I like anything that gives me, a free extra card.
All right, well, we're going to quick fetch probably for Steam Vents so we can have access to blue. And then we're going to cast Ren and 6, paying the 1, and likely going to minus on that Esper Sentinel. We'll see if that's the play. And it is. Ren and 6 down to 2. A body can attack it for 1 damage. This Hammer deck always has the ability to kind of kill you out of nowhere, though, with Sigarda's Aid or Pure Steel Paladin plus the Colossus Hammer. But low on resources are both players, and the body goes for Stoneforge Mystic.
And yeah, I expect no surprise to see the Cauldron Complete there when you have Giver of Runes already available to protect the Stoneforge Mystic. So very likely to be able to get that Cauldron Complete onto the battlefield next turn.
All right, now 1 mana up for a body. Might have Spell Pierce at the ready, but may want to go ahead and attack with the Giver of Runes for 1 damage, but may also just want to protect the Stoneforge Mystic thanks to having that Cauldron Complete in hand. Josh Engel ticks up, gets back Arid Mesa, plays it for turn.
And just another Ren and 6 drawn for Josh Engel. That is not going to do a whole lot, but we do have a Fable to play here. We can play Fable, hold up Spell Pierce, and try to find a creativity before things get out of hand against the Germ token and Cauldron Complete.
All right, well, there is the Dwarf. We're going to tap 3, holding up the Spell Pierce. Here comes Fable. We're going to make a Goblin token. And then we're going to go back a Body's Way with Spell Pierce at the ready to hopefully protect us. But we know Cauldron Complete is coming down this turn. Let's see if Amina Body wants to make it even worse for Engel. There's Ingmoth Nexus. We're going to play another Stoneforge Mystic. I guess we're going to go get Hammer. Maybe we want to gain some life with Shadow Spear, perhaps?
Shadow Spear also nice at attacking through dwarf tokens.
Right. Cauldron Complete doesn't have trample itself, right?
Correct.
Hard to kill, though. Indestructible. Nettle Cyst. Ooh, an extra body for a body. Whoopsie.
Get back in the deck.
What you doing out here, Bristol? Hi, Mom. Aw. Mrs. Engel, we love you. I bet his mom is Laura Engel. All right.
Okay. Uses 1 Stoneforge Mystic to activate the other via Springleaf Drum mana.
Yepers. And that's going to put Cauldron Complete onto the battlefield with a Germ. And now it's going to go rumbling at that Ren and 6 more than likely. And I would guess Josh Engel going to chump block with the old 1/1 token. Don't you just love when every single card makes a token and then no one owns the tokens and then they just put random Pokemons into play? It's my favorite thing.
Well, there's John Suarez attacking a Ren and 6.
I was just going to say that.
As he is wont to do.
All right. So, Chapter 2 of the Fable, we're going to discard Spell Pierce likely and maybe the backup Ren and 6, and we just want creativity, I think.
I think that was a lightning bolt drawn from Engel, so that can answer the Giver of Runes. And yeah, if I'm Engel, I'm just digging to creativity.
Definitely discarding 2. It just depends on which 2. Does keep the lightning bolt. Finds another Fable. That's a redraw for next turn. I like go ahead and play in that. Maybe go ahead and bolt on the Giver of Runes to make the Springleaf Drum slightly worse. Another fetch land means another Dwarf. Now, Engel could have chump blocked with the Dwarf token there to keep the Ren and 6 alive, right? Can we get Cauldron Complete on the screen? I just want to read all the abilities. It's got 80 abilities. Living Weapon, Indestructible. Equipped creature gets +5/+5. First strike, Trample.
Oh, it does have trample.
You lied to me. You're supposed to be the expert here. I'm just reading cards.
Has 80 words on it.
You're right, it does. All right, here's the bolts. I know chat's like, hey, it does have trample! Alright, Bolt into Fable the Mirror Breaker. Here we go. We got another token coming.
Interesting that Engel decided to play the fetch land there. Didn't need it to cast both of his spells, and now has fewer cards to discard to the second chapter of the second Fable, and has plenty of mana because these Goblin Shamans are generating treasure tokens.
Yeah. Well, shut up. How about that one? Here's the big old Nettle Cyst on the Cauldron Complete, and we're coming in for a huge chunk
Looks
of
like
damage.
8. I think it's only 3 artifacts and or enchantments because the ink moths are not activated.
That's fair. We can still activate 1 before damage. And that'll be 9. And the body gonna go ahead and do that. And so +1 damage there. And Josh Ingle goes down to 7. Let's see if we can find creativity. Ingle, light on resources, no cards in hand. Fable Chapter 2 coming next turn. And a potentially lethal attack coming from a body on the follow-up. So Ingle gonna need some help.
So if we... Looks like a body thought better of activating the Ink Moth Nexus. If he doesn't, that'll leave Engel at 7 instead of 6. And, I mean...
I don't know why he wouldn't. What are you gonna do, block?
Oh,
you might sack 1 to old creativity for 2. Creativity for 3? Playing around creativity for 3? Deal an extra damage, I mean. How do you even beat creativity for 3 anyway? By sacking 3 other creatures.
Yeah,
Never mind.
With a gigantic germ token.
I guess he's just super in the tank. He's just really counting this one out.
Yeah.
Creativity, can you win if your opponent creativity's for 3? I think the answer is no, because they just gain enough life where your attack's no longer lethal. So I think just dealing extra damage maybe squeezes a few more outs, but maybe not. I think Amin sees that as well. I think that he's going to go ahead and do it. The Inkmoth Nexus should be tapped. Yeah, there it goes. All right, what you got, Amin? Clock's ticking. Wings, etc. is calling my name.
Amin's got a tournament left to win.
Yeah, we got some more matches to cast, too.
This is our last round of Swiss. Top 8 will be starting right after it. We will crown a champion, give out $5,000 in cash, give out 2 slots to the Apex Invitational in November, and a slot to the next regional championship.
Yeah, on top of that, the winner will receive an Expressive Iteration Champion playmat. That's an exclusive to the Apex series, and we do give them away to all of our invitational qualifiers. Now, we just had a really sweet announcement today. Kyle Huck told everyone in the room that our playmat for the invitational itself, the top 8 will be getting Ragavan playmats. How cool is that?
It's pretty nice. So Engel draws another red and 6 air, discarded it to the Fable. I'm not sure if he found anything relevant.
Yeah, transforms into Reflection of the Kiki Jiki.
I really want to know the top card of Engel's deck. Because if he had held the Bloodstained Mire, that card could be in his hand right now.
Right. Maybe kicking himself, didn't get to dig one deeper, automatically playing land from hand when Fable's in play, oftentimes comes back to bite you. Thought he might need another blocker with the Dwarf perhaps, but with the trample on the Cauldron Complete, doesn't seem like that was the greatest. Now let's see what he's got going on. 1 card in hand. Can he survive an attack from a body with nothing? That's the real question.
So it's potentially an attack for 12, right? You can animate the 2 Nexuses with themselves. That gets you up to 5 artifacts, so your Germ's at 10-10, and you can attack with the 2 Stoneforge Mystics. Right. So you need 7 toughness here, and we have 2 Goblin Shamans, the Reflection, and do we have a Dwarf, or are they treasures?
We have 1 Dwarf, we got 2 Goblins, we got a Reflection, and then we got 2 Fetches, which are breaking even on getting more Dwarfs.
But that is exactly 7 toughness. That lets you survive at 1, which means you can't crack your fetch lands, and you'll get a Reflection next turn from the other Fable, but a single Archon of Cruelty won't be enough. So I think this one should be locked up for Amin Abadi.
All right, well. Amin finds a 1-cost artifact, and that should be lethal here. We're going to activate both Inkmoth Nexus. We're going to attack with both Stoneforge Mystics and that big trampoline germ, and we have a deterministic kill here on the Mina body side of things that should be exactly enough to punch through damage. So
Yeah.
the Ingles game one is over.
With the 2 Nexuses, we're now up to 6 artifacts. We have an 11 power Germ, 2 1 power Stoneforge Mystics. That's 13, and Engel can only soak up 7 of it.
Yeah, and each of those fetches is a break even because of the trample. All right, packs it in. And that's game number one. The game number one handshake. You always love to see the game one handshake. All right, as these players are shuffling up here for game number two, they're going to be taking a peek at their 15 card sideboards. My man, Ross Merriam, is our expert in this role. Let's take a look at those 15 cards, and you tell me what you think's coming in, my man.
Okay, Josh Engel has 2 copies of Beseju Who Endures, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Prismatic Ending, 2 Strike It Rich, 2 Veil of Summer, 1 Alpine Moon, 1 Celestial Purge, 1 Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, 1 Teferi Time Raveler, and 1 Terastodon. I definitely like the Besejus. I definitely like the Prismatic Endings. I like the Alpine Moon against Urza Saga and Inkmoth Nexus. I am hesitant on the Terastodon.
Well, it does target three things. Maybe those three things are good.
Hit your Urza Saga, hit your hammer, hit your Sigarda's Aid.
I'm a big fan of Nasty Terrasty. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I'm rooting for it, even if it's maybe not the right move. I'm rooting for it.
My one issue is I don't like it when my creativity doesn't do exactly what I expect it to do.
Right.
Like, how do you navigate creativity when you're not sure if you're getting Archon or Terastodon?
Well, you just hope that you're doing it for 3, and hope this good enough. I guess.
And if you're bringing in a bunch of removal, maybe you can buy more time, and just go for a bigger creativity later in the game. So maybe that's the plan. That would make sense to me.
All right. Well, on the other side of the table, we got Amina Body with that Azorius Hammer deck. He is splashing blue for those main deck spell pierces. But Ross, why don't you take a look at his sideboard and let me know what you think?
He has 3 copies of March of Otherworldly Light, 3 Sanctifier Invec, 2 Lavinia Azorius Renegade, 2 Surge of Salvation, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Pithing Needle, 1 Spell Pierce, 1 Path to Exile, and 1 Draneth Magistrate. So, notably, Grafdigger's Cage does not stop Indomitable creativity.
Boo.
Because creativity exiles all the creatures first
Because it does it slightly different.
and puts them into the battlefield from exile. So, if you think that one's coming in, it is not.
First day of my life.
Honestly, this might just be bringing in the other Spell Pierce.
I mean, Spell Pierce is good. I think the matchup's pretty decent, so I wouldn't expect him to need too many sideboard options for this matchup.
The other Surges are probably good too. There's
Sure.
a lot of spot removal from the creativity
Yes.
deck.
And Surge gives you hexproof for a full turn from those Archons of Cruelty, so you can kind of brick like a X equals 2 or 3 creativity for a full turn cycle, and then maybe still kill your opponent with a large double hammered trampler.
Same with the Terastodon trigger. So,
Right.
yeah, I like the Surges and the Pierce, just more cheap interaction to stop all of the interaction from the other side.
All right. As these
Or
players
protection.
are shuffling up here for game number 2, I want to take a moment, shout out our sponsors, Ultimate Guard. They've been giving us tons of cool swag to give away to all of our top 8 competitors at all of our invitational qualifiers. Make sure to check out apexgaming.gg to find an Apex Invitational qualifier near you. Still have plenty of those running all through the next 2 months as we prep for our invitational in November. And the top 8 all receive some cool Ultimate Guard swag. Also, shout out to G Fuel Energy Formula for giving us the energy we need to get through these long days of Magic. We have a whole cooler full of it over there. I already drank one today. I'm probably going to have to go get another one here in a minute.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Amin is playing in the top 8 with Hammer, it might not be as long of a day.
He did bonk some people last time I was here, and the top 8 ended very quickly. So I'm rooting for Amin simply. Well, first of all, the story's great. I like the Abadi Bros. They're super cool, cool people.
Him going for a 3rd trophy in the span of a month and coming back from a round 1 loss, like, it would be really impressive.
Well, that's Hammer.
When you're coming off 2 wins and then you lose round 1 of a tournament, you think, okay, I deserve to maybe run a little less hot this day. Amin is just like, nah, I got this one.
All right, Ingle takes a quick mulligan, as does a body. Ingle flashing a couple Archons of Cruelty, which signify an auto mulligan. That's already a 5-card hand because the Archons have very little use outside of putting them into play via creativity or hard casting them for 8 mana. Some other versions of creativity will occasionally play something like Bitter Union and discard them so that they can reanimate them with Persist, and then give them haste with the Bitter Union, but I don't think Ingle is doing that. He's way more control-y, a lot more removal and interaction with things like Reprieve. A body tosses his back quickly, no idea what it looked like. Like, probably just missing some lands or, had 5 lands. Who knows?
Nobody knows.
It's not binary. But it's just like too many lands, not enough lands, keep. Those are like the 3 modes for Hammer. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I'm sure I'm gonna get yelled at by Will Kruger or somebody, one of the old school Hammerheads. That's a cool name for a group, the Hammerheads.
It'd be pretty good.
Yeah, that's free. Anyone who's a big Hammer addict in Modern, if you want to start a podcast called the Hammerheads, high recommend. It's a cool name. I just made it.
Okay, players deciding what cards to put back. I do see an early lightning bolt for Engel. That'll be helpful.
A body gonna go to 5. Not where you want to be against a deck with a large amount of interaction. I see a prismatic ending. I see a lightning bolt. The first couple of threats that a body puts on the table are going to get checked. I think, for Esper Sentinel or something on 1, so the Ingle's mana is a little bit constricted, or he's able to refresh a card after that first piece of interaction. Here comes the 5-card hand. A body likely going to keep on 5. It's very difficult to win on 4. Going to put back 2. I see a Stoneforge. I see some lands. And a little bit of gunk to wipe off with the other side of the sleeve. I see a Giver of Runes. That's an okay start. Alright, and we're underweight. Scalding Tarn for Josh Ingle. Body going to draw, looking for some pressure. There's a Springleaf Drum. Any Ornithopters? Yes, Ornithopter is Giver of Runes in Josh Ingle's way now. Gonna fetch what's Scalding Tarn.
I see a Stoneforge Mystic among the 2 remaining cards in a body's hand. If he can untap with the Giver, the Stoneforge Mystic for Calder Complete plan could work for a second time. I know Engel has 1 removal spell in that Lightning Bolt. We'll see if he has a second.
One awkward thing with creativity is that you pretty regularly need to fetch a tapped land on turn number 1 because your color requirements are so wonky. And here we're seeing Ingle could bolt end of turn, but instead going to fetch Jetmir Garden. So likely needs all those colors for things like Leyline Binding and the other color spells. Draws for turn. Let's see what he wants to do. Could Prismatic Ending on the Springleaf Drum. Could go for a double kill on the creatures if he has an untapped land. Give her down.
There's Xander's Lounge. I think I see Leyline Binding to Fairy Fable.
All right, see if a body has a cool play this turn. Here's Marsh Flats. And Stoneforge Mystic with a mana up. Could be Spell Pierce, could be Surge, could be nothing. See if a body wants to get a hammer and play it or something like that. But goes and gets Cauldron Complete. If he has a piece of protection, this could be his window. Stomping Ground to play for Ingle. Here comes Fable.
Oh, I think it's a Prismatic Ending.
All right, Fable the Mirror Breaker comes down. Amina body. Do you want to stop it? Do you have some way to stop it? Here's a fetch. No. Tapped Hallowed Fountain. So, Cauldron Complete. Gonna enter play. That germ could get popped by the Prismatic Ending, leaving that 7-mana artifact stuck on the table with nothing to do. At least for a little while.
Yeah, it's a lot more threatening in this deck than it is in other non-Sigarda's Aid Pure Steel Paladin decks.
Here comes Cauldron Complete, the big baddie 5/5 Germ Suarez token. Going to be attacking for 5. Ingle's down to 12. Has the Prismatic Ending, which can hit the token. Finds Teferi Time Raveler. I don't know. Okay, he can play. He has a Xander's Lounge and a Jetmir Garden to tap for blue and white.
And Teferi is an ideal answer here because it doesn't allow for a Surge of Salvation. If a body wants to protect it, he's got a Surge in response.
Yeah, I mean, he can definitely do that, though, and it's probably right to do that, because then he can just attack down the Teferi next turn.
Yep, which is why Engel discarding this Prismatic Ending is a little risky.
I agree. When he did, I'm tired of calling him out for things, I just want to see what happens. All right, 3 mana. Here comes Teferi Time Raveler, and we can play around Spell Pierce, so a body If he has Surge of Salvation, needs to play it now to protect the germ. If he doesn't have it, this is likely going to deal with the germ. There it is.
Does. So,
Hexproof,
I mean,
everything.
plussing the Teferi means it's going to die anyway, so you can just minus without a target,
Yep.
get your card out of it.
Could bounce Fable the Mirror Breaker, just like
Yeah.
have extra resources to discard after it happens. So
I think I see a Leyline Binding in hand. That would be excellent. We could upkeep Leyline Binding on the Calder Complete itself.
good Leyline Binding right now.
Yeah.
In response to the surge, and we are going to sack the treasure. This is going to allow him to fetch a dwarf with the Scalding Tarn, and Teferi just going to go ahead and tick up.
What if we had, in response, Leyline Binding the Germ and then bounce the Binding with our Teferi?
You know, I think that would have been a better play. Good find, Ross.
That would have been cool.
All right, here's an attack for 2 at Teferi. A really weak turn for a body, but does deploy the Urza Saga, which could start to threaten next turn. Ingle can bounce it with Teferi Time Raveler because it can target non-land permanents as long as they're enchantments or artifacts, right?
Looks like we got something from Engel.
Maybe a dwarf.
And you are correct. Teferi can bounce Urza Saga. It's very annoying when it happens to you.
All right. So, Dwarf going to come down and block the Stoneforge Mystic to add 1 counter to the Teferi. I like it because that means Teferi can bounce the Saga without dying. And that means that a body cannot be super tricky with things like Hammer over the next few turns without maybe over-investing in the board and getting blown out by some interaction.
There's a Wrenn and 6, which is not particularly good. Ooh, I think we missed the Fable.
Yeah.
There we go.
We fixed it, though. Chapter 3 happens. It's Reflection now. And Urza Saga does get bounced, so we're going to have to reset that next turn with the body. And it might be a little too late. Like, that's not right? It might be too little too late. A little too late.
It could be a little too late.
Is that going to be a thing that I say now?
Maybe a little.
Yeah. All right. Attack for 2. Get a treasure. Back a body's way. Wrenn 6 gets a land back. We're going to be dwarfing it up. Same Urza Saga being replayed. Here comes Ink Moth. This can go after the Teferi. And it's down. Back a body's way. What you got? Oh, sorry, back Ingle's way.
Looks like just a land off the top, but just the Goblin Shaman and the Reflection can do some nice stuff. I guess only for another turn, because we're going to get some constructs on the other side of the battlefield that should be fairly large.
Oh, yeah. The Urza Sagas in these Hammer decks just play such an enormous role. And it's one of the reasons why the Pioneer versions of Hammer just don't really function, because you're lacking the 3 best cards in the deck, which are Urza Saga, Stoneforge Mystic, and Pure Steel Paladin. And without those engines, the deck just doesn't really function.
That's basically all the card advantage in the deck.
Right. Everything else is just dinky 1/1s and 0/2 flyers for 0. All right, end of turn, we're going to make a Goblin and pass back. A body can make a construct.
Looks like a Leyline Binding drawn for Josh Engel. So that'll answer at least 1 construct. Maybe more if we find a Teferi to bounce it. I love bouncing my own things with Teferi.
Oh, yeah. It's like remanning your own spell when your opponent goes to counter it.
Not only do you generate a lot of value, you feel really smart. And as we all know, it's very important to feel smart when you play Magic. Because this game often makes you feel very not smart.
All right, we're going to fetch Dwarven Mine, make a Dwarf, and then we're going to use Wrenn 6 to get that land back. And then we're going to see if Ingle wants to deploy anything from hand. I think if he does have the Leyline Binding, he's going to probably just keep that close to the chest. Save it for something that really matters. Might have to burn it on one of the constructs to stay alive. Alright. This Goblin's going to attack just to generate a treasure. And then a body can choose to make a construct and block, but just going to take 2 damage instead, valuing the ability to make the token on the end step. Token down. Here comes the Knuckleheads.
That looks like a construct.
Yeah. Big, shiny, foily, dragon-looking thing. Who knows? Alright. Chapter 3 of Saga. What are we doing with it? All right, gonna make another construct before we go digging. A body here on the cusp of another top 8. Needs some help. Is a little behind this game, but it can change at a moment's notice. Ingle here has infinite chump blockers basically with the reflection of Kiki Jiki and some of these dwarfs. Ren and 6 is closing up on 7 loyalty, so they can ultimate and then start playing a bunch of prismatic endings or lightning bolts.
Yeah, a Ren emblem would be quite good on this battlefield. So we'll see if a body can break through and answer that Ren in the next couple turns. Engel has a lot of blockers to put in the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty cool spot for Shadow Spear, just because the construct is reasonably sized, but mostly you just want to chip away at the Ren and 6 or just threaten lethal over like 2 attacks. I mean, the construct's pretty big. I think this is a pretty home run for a Shadow Spear.
Yeah, that is what a body finds. Can easily equip it. That's going to make one of the constructs a 6/6 trampler and one a 5/5.
I don't know.
Oh, there's a drum too, so we can play Giver and then still equip. Okay.
Okay,
Yep, we got a 6/6 lifelink trampler and a 5/5.
swinging on in,
Of course, only one of them can attack.
and here comes a binding. That's going to knock off the construct probably, but Ingle could choose to hit the Shadow Spear and then just use the reflection tokens to just chump block in perpetuity. Hits the Shadow Spear. It's gone.
Now, next turn, it'll be a lot more difficult to do that because the Giver can get you through some blockers. And all the blockers are red. Red Dwarves, red Goblin Shamans.
All right. Back Ingle's way. Draws another land. Every time I watch these creativity decks play, it's land, land, land. Ren 6 does that to people.
Let's readjust the battlefield here. We got a lot of permanents on both sides.
All right, another fetch land. Getting to the point where we can almost hard cast one of these big Archons of Cruelty. I see 2 black sources in play already.
Yeah, so those are very live draws. A hardcast one would be excellent here.
Main phase fetching. This is just to put something in the graveyard for the Ren and 6. If you're mean, you always got to be pretty afraid when your opponent starts with fetch, right? Because usually that means they're doing something really cool with their turn. But unfortunately for Engel, it's just, I got to put some in the graveyard so my Ren and 6 gets the land back.
And here, if Engel had made the line of bouncing his own Leyline Binding after dealing with the Germ token instead of dealing with the Cauldron Complete itself,
yeah,
he could have an extra removal spell here that would be pretty critical at protecting the Ren and 6.
Yeah, but missed it. I think 99% of people would have missed it. Ross found it, and now it's a cool little line. The body here trying to capitalize on that minor mistake. We'll see if he can close out game number 2. He's up a game, and he's looking to make another top 8. Here's another Giver of Runes. This might make Josh Ingle's life miserable. Do we go ahead and make it protection from red and attack? We're going to animate Inkmoth Nexus, I guess, just to get an extra damage.
It certainly guarantees a damage on the Ren if it gets through.
All right, 1 to Ren just to prevent the ultimate, and then 2 at face. And do you want to go for protection? We're going to make a blocker that's red in response, a body. What you got? Giver. Picked up. We'll see. Yeah, pro red. And we're going to hit it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 to me. That Cauldron Complete is under a binding.
So if we chump block the other construct, this is just barely not enough to deal with the Ren, although it looks like only the Inkmoth is going at the Ren. Constructs are going face.
Yep, because he's just trying to kill him in 2 swings.
Yep.
I think that's smart.
I'm okay with that.
And here is a Pure Steel Paladin. So now potentially a chain off the top of hammers or something similar could be good. But another land for Ingle, and that's got to be devastating. He was so far ahead and just drew 4 lands in a row.
And that Pure Steel is the big punish for the line I suggested earlier. If the Cauldron Complete was still on the battlefield, that Pure Steel would have just ended the game.
Yeah, but you still have Leyline Binding in hand to potentially hit it.
Yep.
So, Anywho, Engel gonna be defeated here. A body gonna be moving to 6-1, assuming there's no tricky stuff going on. And a body literally just does a repeat of last turn, what he did, or repeat of last turn. And Engel here with 4 lanes in hand, got to be feeling pretty demoralized right now. But a well fought effort for Engel's side in that creativity deck, just on the outside looking in of the top 8.
Yeah, unfortunate series of draws coming at the exact wrong time for Josh Engel, and Amina Body looking to continue this incredible run he has been on.
All right, plus and Ren up to 7, threatening ultimate again. But we know 3 lanes in hand, a body just has to give protection from red to his 2 constructs and send them on in. Engel should be down to 5 here from the last attack. The life totals are slightly wrong, if I'm not mistaken. And now if you're a body, do you give them both pro red, or you just attack with 1 and give one of them pro red?
Um, I would say you want to leave a giver up in case of a removal spell.
All right, well, it doesn't matter. A body takes it down 2-0 and cashes his ticket into the top 8 here at the $5,000 Modern Open, hosted by Apex Gaming, Caldwell, Ohio home store.
He's won 6 matches in a row now.
Yeah.
0-1 to 6-1.
3 more in a row, and he could be walking out a champion again.